to JenMouse45 channel. Welcome to this month's video. I'm presuming might have surprise videos, who knows, gotta stay tuned for those. But today is going to be an exciting video because I'm going to be reflecting on the Hunger Games' latest book, Sunrise on the Reaping, written by Suzanne Collins. So if you see me looking off to the side, again, my notes are here. So today going to be reflecting on the book. I'm not doing like a standard book review like how I've done in the past. This will be similar to the Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, where I just kind of reflect on like key moments that I enjoyed, kind of give a synopsis of the book, and then hopes for the upcoming movie. So this will not be a review, even though it was a quicker read than the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, because the movie for Sunrise on the Reaping is set to come out in fall 2026. Yay! We'll get to more information here in a minute. I will be sharing particular thoughts about certain moments in the book that I enjoyed. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. I know this video is coming out like way in advance before the movie comes out, but I wanted to share my thoughts about the story/book and then give my hopes for what would show up in the movie. So, and again, looking up to the side, I have minutes. So let's go and get into it. So background about Sunrise on the Reaping. This is set during the 50th Hunger Games, which is also the second Quarter Quell. So every 25 years there would be a Quarter Quell, and then they would like change up the rules a bit. So Haymitch Abernathy wakes up in District 12 on this day, which is also his 16th birthday. Many events unfold before and during the reaping for District 12's tributes, which ultimately lands him on the train on the way to the capital. So I was definitely surprised when it was announced that a new Hunger Games book was coming out. I was like, yay! So, because it wasn't too long ago, I think it was the end of 2023 is when the book came out, I think earlier that year, and then the movie did really well. I enjoyed it very much, so definitely it was nice to see. And I know a lot of folks in the Hunger Games fandom, myself included, were like, oh, we need Haymitch's story, we need to figure out like what happened and all this stuff. So I was pretty surprised. So again, a little bit smaller than Songbirds and Snakes and everything, which I was a bit grateful for because I had a lot of other stuff going on. So it was just nice just to sit in my egg chair on the porch and read and kind of back in the Hunger Games world. So alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the reflection piece. So let's talk about Haymitch. So Haymitch had just turned 16 on the day of the Quarter Quell, 50th Hunger Games and all that stuff. So we also find out that he had a younger brother named Sid, and he lives with his mother. So it kind of, for me, felt like kind of like Katniss Everdeen's family, where Katniss lived with her sister and her mother, and Haymitch lives with his younger brother and his mother. So I thought that parallel was very interesting. I was also wondering, like as I was like reading towards the end of the book and like writing up notes for today's video, if Haymitch was more like an anti-hero. And I did do a bit of research, and most folks do agree that he definitely has that anti-hero personality. Like he tries to help out when he can, but then it fails. Like at the reaping, he's trying to protect his girlfriend, Lenore Dove. Then he gets reaped. Anytime a character would join him in the arena, whenever he's in the Hunger Games arena, like that other character would die. So it was pretty tragic, just reading poor Haymitch, just trying to survive, trying to make it back home, like they all want to do and stuff. So, but yeah, definitely some anti-hero vibes. It kind of reminds me, to segue off, so a lot of people know me for my Ruby content, so he kind of gives me like Crow Bronwyn vibes, like that bad luck charm. Like he tries to stay away from people because he's like, you're just gonna get my bad luck and all this stuff. And it's like Haymitch was trying to do the same thing, but ultimately those people ended up dying around him. So yeah, and then just to like tack on to Haymitch, like it's kind of unfair at the start. He was born in District 12, which is like one of the poorer districts. He also had his name more in the reaping because of needing to sign up for the not Tesseract, that's Avengers, not sponsored, but the Tesseract, something like that, each year. So he already has like more of his name in the thing. He's born in District 12. He has all these unfair advantages, and all these different things going on. So and you already knew that from like, you know, read the books, watched the movies and stuff, that he's had a lot of unfair advantages in life, but they'll like really like see it through his eyes and like kind of read it and everything. It's just like you feel for him. You feel for him. You see some familiar names. This is where the spoiler, if I had a sign, this is like the spoiler and everything like that. So you see some familiar names in the book, which gave my little heart a cheer when I saw some certain names, such as Plutarch, Heaven's Beat, who's much younger. He's definitely into the whole propaganda thing. I was actually getting annoyed with him during one part. I'm just like, could you just like leave them alone for 5 minutes so that we can say their goodbyes? Stop. Put the camera away. Put it down. But yeah, he's there in District 12 and in the capital. And he starts hinting at this rebellion and that he needs Haymitch to also help out. We also see Beatty. Always forget his last name, but we see adorable Beatty. It's one of my personal favorites. But his son, I didn't know he had a son, but his son actually got reaped into the 50th Hunger Games, which, by the way, major spoiler, the I don't know what you want to call it. The whole theme, if you will, is there was like double the amount of tributes this time. So instead of the usual 2, 1 boy, 1 girl, it was 2 girls and 2 boys. So, and unfortunately, one of the tributes from Beatty's district, can't remember, but one of those ones, his son actually got reaped. So, and not only that, he has to mentor in the games. So that's painful enough itself. So for a short book, I will say for a short book, there was a lot of painful moments in this. So sorry, Suzanne Collins, if you were feeling mad about anything that was said or done for the past couple of years, but you didn't have to take it out on Haymitch. You didn't have to do it. Oh gosh, it was a lot. So yeah, we see Beatty, and he's trying to help Haymitch out during the games. We also see Wyrus and Mags were there to help District 12 as well. And I liked hearing about Wyrus's games. That was like really different to like hear. I hope they show it. I didn't put that in my notes, but now that I'm thinking about it, I do hope that they show like a little flashback clip or like a movie screen. Like here's like what Mags looked like in her Hunger Games, what she had to do, and then what Wyrus had to do. So I'm hoping that comes in. And of course, President Snow, Cornelius Snow, is also in the book as well. He's now the president, so beforehand, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He wasn't quite president. He was trying to maintain his status. So one day he could become president. Congratulations, he is now president of Panem. And he's trying to make sure there's like no more rebellions. He's just squashing them like little bugs here and there. Like dope, dope, dope. And we also see Effie Trinket, and I let it on internal cheer when I saw her name across the page. I was like, yay, Effie! So, and she's, you know, still like bright and cheerful and bubbly. She's there to kind of help with the team and everything. She like brings in like this whole wardrobe because the stylist is a character. I will say he's quite the character. But you know, Effie comes in to save the day with this whole wardrobe thing. So I love her. I think it's interesting because she's not like the escort. I don't know what the term was for and stuff, but it's actually Drusilla. I think I said her name right. Drusilla's there, and she does not like these kids at all. And it's interesting that Effie comes in and she's all cheerful, she's trying to help out and everything, and then later on she becomes like the escort and everything for like Katniss and Peeta. And while she still like tries to be cheerful, you could tell she's just like, oh, I gotta do this job every year. I gotta get these tributes to the capital and everything. So it just seems like it's all new and exciting leading up to the reaping ceremony and bring the tributes. But I imagine it is tiring, especially people like Maisie who want to speak up their minds about the Hunger Games when capital people are living the life, so to speak. And I feel like, you know, capital people are more conditioned to think that the districts has less are done. And then you see like the two like clash behind the scenes, so you know, away from the cameras, away from it all. You know, they're in their apartments and stuff, and then they clash behind the scenes, like this isn't right, this isn't fair. That some of the districts are trying to survive. And just seeing like this whole mentality throughout the series, it just seems interesting. Like it was definitely in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, like why are the districts the ones to be punished? Definitely with like Hunger Games, at least the first two books, because there wasn't one in Mockingjay. That was, of course, the whole war, so to speak. But definitely in Sunrise of the Reaping, like, there's double the amount of tributes. We're just trying to survive out here, type of thing. So it's a whole series. So good. I will say this particular book was not as graphic as the last one. Like, I wasn't like trying to like close the page. I think because of the whole snake thing. I was just like, no. I think there are snakes in here. Oh yeah, there is one snake. I forgot about that. I'm not gonna say that. But, it's not as graphic as the last one. There is one certain scene that kind of made my skin crawl, and that scene involves some carnivorous mammals, I will say. I'm not gonna spoil it because it's like when you read it, you're just like, what? My jaw literally dropped. Yeah. I feel like in this particular book and story, there was like a lot more talking. I feel like the first one, it was just like Snow's internal dialogue, never ceasing. So, and I feel like it makes sense because there's more people, there's more need for alliances, so therefore people need to talk. They can't read your internal dialogue. Take a hint, Snow. But yeah, with the amount of tributes, there's more dialogue. Haymitch and the others start their own alliance. So they start an alliance called the Newcomers, which is kind of opposite of the careers, like the strongest ones in the Hunger Games. Haymitch also leads like little acts of rebellion, such as drinking the milk meant for President Snow, because he wants President Snow to suffer more after he's like poisoned. Lifting, I'm gonna try to say her name, is Luella's body after the parade, and trying to be like the cool person during the whole interviews with Caesar Flickerman. He's like trying to like, Haymitch is trying to be all cool and everything, but he scored a 1, which is like very low. Like all these like little acts of rebellion that Haymitch is trying to do leads to a bigger one to stop the arena from working, mostly to stop the current Hunger Games. I don't think with this one they were trying to like stop it as a whole. I think they were just trying to stop this one, and then maybe it would delay future Hunger Games, but they were just like, we need to find a way to drown the arena, to start the rebellion, trying to get the generator to stop working. So still trying to figure out how this whole arena thing works, but it looks like, you know, it's like electricity, it's like making it work and everything, so they're like trying to figure out water and electricity don't really mix that well sometimes, so if we just drown the whole arena, then they'll stop the Hunger Games, and then could lead to rebellion, could not lead to rebellion. It obviously doesn't work, because there's still Hunger Games afterwards. Yeah, because Katniss is the one that breaks the arena at the end of Catching Fire, so Haymitch did try. He tried his best. A for effort, but the arena, I'll talk about the arena first. So when it was first mentioned, it sounds like such a beautiful and wonderful place. The place you want to be. And it was very confusing. It's like, why is it so nice? Like, it's open meadows and there's food everywhere. Like, you know, it's abundant and all this stuff. Then after the rabbit died, it all made sense. And it was like, sneaky game makers, see what you did. So, yeah. Haymitch tries to separate from people, then protect people he comes across. So he's like, don't come to me, don't talk to me. And as soon as they're in his care, he's like, oh, I'll take care of you. And then, which does not work out, because then they end up dying. And then he's the last one in the arena with the District 1 female. The two fight despite numerous injuries, and her own actions lead to her death, which Haymitch wins the Hunger Games. However, he tries to stop the generator one more time, and it does work. Okay, so he manages to stop it. It ends up, like, kapooting. I don't know. Words are hard. It just stops working, and with that, it causes a metaphoric and literal earthquake within the capital. However, he pays for this mistake staying in the apartment he was in with the others before the Hunger Games, and he's given some food during this time, and was even caged up for a few weeks before being sent back home to the districts. On the way back, he sees the caskets of the other tributes from 12 when he arrives home, and then when he comes home, his loved ones around him just start dying one by one. So it kind of makes sense, his whole character of just like, I don't want to be near people, I don't want to do anything with people and stuff. Don't get close to me and all this. But yeah, it's pretty tragic what he has to go through. Like he tries to defend his one love from like getting hurt, and then he gets raped, and he's in the Hunger Games in the Capitol. He has to suffer all these different things. Then he comes home, he suffers more. So, and I will say the one particular scene at the end. Oh, gee, I'm not ready for that scene. Because I'm never looking at jelly beans, at least the red one's the same again. So, yeah, I'll leave that at that. Speaking of food, I feel like the food wasn't as well described in the books. Like, during the first one, it was definitely described more, but it was more like hearty post-war food. And then in like the Hunger Games, like it was described so good. Like my mouth is watering thinking about it. This particular book, it didn't seem as well described, but it seemed more meaningful, if that makes sense, such as when Lulu joins, she picks up a certain type of bread. Like there's a whole bread basket with like different breads from different districts, and she picks one out, and then that's when they all knew like which district she was from. So it definitely feels like food's not as like elaborately described, but it has more meaning. Like there's a significance behind it. So I thought that was pretty cool and different. Speaking of Lulu, I feel like this is the start of the Capitol's mind control. So she had this earpiece, which I guess like Capitol trainer, game makers, or whoever were like trying to talk through. And she would like start to say something, not in like rebellion or something like that, but if she would like say or do something, like they could hear like somebody like yelling in her ear, and she would wince and all this stuff. So poor girl was going through it. So. And this later on happens with PETA and Mockingjay, who is mind controlled to kill Katniss, to destroy Katniss. So I feel like it was just the start. Maybe it was going on for years, but I feel like it was definitely the start. Like they were just like tinkering with it, and then they're like, oh, like here's a perfect opportunity. Let's try it and see what happens. So had to be on a child. And I do feel like Plutarch is the one who convinces, I would say eventually convinces Haymitch to join in the rebellion, and Haymitch does so even though he falls into alcoholism. So we know definitely in the first book, whenever he falls on stage. Sad they left that out in the movie. Like that is such a pinnacle moment and stuff for his character, but he's always drinking and all this stuff. So even though he's like helping with the rebellion, he's like behind the scenes trying to work on stuff because of just all the trauma, all the loss around him. Instead of talking about it, falls into alcohol. And that's pretty much it. I feel like I tacked on a couple little thoughts in here as they were coming up, but it was a good read. Nice little read and everything. So I'm gonna get into my final thoughts and then we'll wrap up. So as I said before, it's about time. We needed Haymitch's story and how he ended up just this little anti-hero, alcoholic, life's pessimistic views and all this stuff. So it all makes sense once you read his story. And then I actually went back and I watched the movies. I'll probably do a reread of the books later on and stuff. I went back and like watched the movies and I'm just like, oh, he went through so much. Now he's this person. This is sad. And I would say my algorithm for TikTok while I was reading the book was like showing me like all these like people like finishing reading the book and everything. I'm like, wow, y'all are so quick. So I was just like, at the same time, I was like, oh, I don't want to see any spoilers though. So I will say to those that posted videos and had like spoiler tags, spoiler warnings on the video, and then the captions and stuff, thank you. So I could just quickly scroll away. It does help. It does help. So that way I can just like be a blind slate. Because like I said before, that ending scene, was not expecting that. So yeah, not ready to see that on the screen. Oh no. As far as like the writing goes, I'll just touch on this briefly. I couldn't think of a better word, but I feel like with Haymitch's character, he's a bit more like crass. I put blatant as it's like a secondary word, but it definitely seems like Snow was very like eloquent mannerisms and all this stuff. Katniss had more of a way to describe things, like kind of more matter-of-factly, like this was going on, this was going on. Haymitch was just like, yeah, this is what's going on, but I don't really care. Like, this thing happened and like all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely a different writing style to kind of just like read into, which makes sense. It's a whole different character's point of view, very different character's point of view. Yeah, it's not like as fancy or anything. It's just a teenage male trying to figure out the Hunger Games and survive. So that was different. I'm sure I've read a book similar in that nature. It's not one that I would pick up very often, but it was definitely different read. So yeah, it felt like, I guess this kind of still goes into writing, but at least with the story, like there'd be like little moments of the characters talking, like they're trying to figure out stuff, like what do we do? How do we stop the arena? How do we stop the Hunger Games? How do we figure out what to wear for the interviews and all this stuff? And then there's also moments of like Haymitch trying to figure out which side does he go on? Does he just care about himself? Does he like join the rebellion and the cause and everything? And then all of a sudden it'd be like, OMG, big moment, this thing's going on, catches you off guard and everything. And then it would be like the aftermath, and you just feel like really bad for Haymitch's character. And then you kind of realize like these little moments led up to who you become like later on in the Hunger Games novels. So it is definitely like a well written out character, and I'm excited to see how the actor portrays him. So excited. Because speaking of which, so far the cast is looking really, really good. I love seeing those little videos updated. And, you know, hear the music, I hear it right now, and then I'm just like, oh, wait, who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? So far, our cast is looking good. Whoever the casting director is, thank you. You are the best. So it's just, for me, I feel like the tributes, like the characters look so young, and that makes sense because, you know, it's children being reaped for the Hunger Games. And it's just gonna make it so much painful when they start dying. Not for real, but like in the movie, when their character starts to die and everything, it's gonna be so heartbreaking. I feel like this is just gonna be like a heartbreaking Hunger Games movie, so I am looking forward to the movie despite the fact that it's probably gonna be very heartbreaking, but that's okay. I've only seen that it's gonna be one whole movie. It's not gonna be like part 1, part 2, which is good. Please let that trend die. I'm done with it. I'm hoping it's not as long as like the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I didn't realize how long it was until I like rewatched it a couple months ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get up and go to the bathroom twice. Like, oh, this is too long. So, but yeah, I'm hoping like good hour and a half, hour and 40-minute movie. So yeah, and like I said before, after I read the book, I went back and I rewatched all the Hunger Games movies, all 4 of them and stuff, and it just makes so much of a difference. Like Haymitch's character and like what he's been doing, how he's like trying to protect Katniss now, and then because he was trying to protect others, and he's just like, let me protect this one person. So, and then last little key point, looking forward to the songs. I don't think it's going to be as musical as the first one. Maybe like a few songs here and there. I think even the main character sings a song or a ditty and all this stuff. So actually, I am looking forward to that. I want to see if they do put it in and if the actor will like sing that. So I think it'll be different. Yeah, it's definitely not as musical as the first one. And then like the later ones, there's some songs here and there, a bit more meaningful. But with this one, I don't want to give too much away, but might be a few songs here and there. And that pretty much sums up a little reflection, spoilery, sunrise on the reaping. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Do let me know, have you read the book yet? What are your thoughts about the book? Is there like a part of the book that you're looking forward to seeing in the movie? So I think it's going to be a lot of good and exciting stuff. So end of 2026, we're halfway through 2025. So hopefully here soon. So be exciting. So that pretty much wraps up the video. So thank you all so much for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like on this video, share a kind comment, and make sure that you subscribe, see more content, book reviews, whatever, vlogs, whatever I decide to go on vacation. It's mostly going to be cosplay vlogs, so go check out that channel, Jen Cosplays 45, as well as Cosplay Tea Time. We're going to start up that here soon, so I don't know what season we're on, season 7? 7 sounds about right. Sure. Go check it out. Alright, but thank you everyone so much for watching. Hopefully you're taking care, staying safe, and I'll see you next time. But, as always, say peace, love, and kindness. Bye everyone.